Interactive music therapy is a positive approach and is very much suitable for children in all stages of development, whether of normal intelligence or with special healthcare needs. The different psychological models used in interactive music therapy are: 1. Guided imagery of the body model. 2. The analytical model of Priestley. 3. The creative music therapy. 4. The free improvisation model. 5. The behavioral music therapy. All these were used in my research process as and when necessary and are discussed in all my previous books. Music therapy research is an interesting and very fruitful activity. The word research means a careful or diligent activity of search. A careful or diligent activity or search. To search or to investigate exhaustively is the other definition given for research. Research is a search again and again, a research, perpetual inquiry for a lifetime. In other words, an action research, what you call a lifetime research. Thus we embark upon some new discoveries through our continuous research activities. There is a very well organized plan for research. It is disciplined and systematic inquiry. Disciplined and systematic. The two types of research called quantitative and qualitative research are to be understood by all music therapists. The quantitative research quantifies data and employs statistics for arriving at conclusions. The quantitative approach, the continuous response digital interface, what you call the CRDI, and fMRI. fMRI, the full name is functional magnetic resonance interface. These are used for quantifying research data and outcomes, and specific and placebo tapes and double-blind studies are conducted in hospitals as EBM trials, evidence-based medicine trials. Headphones to shut out background noises and music in open space with background noise are tried and quantified for effects. The personality of the therapist and the client is assessed before all the trials. This is the quantitative research. So controlled comparisons, verification by replication and meta-analysis give quantifiable data with minimum bias. That is why this is done. Minimum bias should be there. Two types of styles or designs are there for single case study research. A single case study. For that, two types of styles or designs. One is a quantitative case study and the other is an applied behavioral analysis. Descriptives are used to arrive at means, the average, the numerical mathematical models of evaluation, and thus a quantitative research protocol is statistical, descriptive and mathematical. See my book and see the descriptives of my research in the book. I have given the full descriptives in that. What all parameters I used, how I reached at the means, average, the numerical mathematical models or the software used for that. Everything is given in that book. So that type is the quantitative type of research. It's just an approach, just to tell you what an approach is. Any parameter you can use, assess in this manner. In experimental research, two or more clients or samples are studied for comparison. For example, in a clinic, suppose we are studying an Alzheimer's dementia case, 10 cases, and these are videotaped. That is an experimental research. These are videotaped with one with long familiar songs for the clients, the other with new unfamiliar but shorter songs. Then give a long familiar prose gadyam, new short verbal passages. So 4 types of things are given and these are videotaped. Each patient is studied in 3 occasions. The percentage of words recapitulated by each was calculated. The rewinding of memory with the familiar ones, the cognizance by new ones are also assessed. Thus, it contains not only quantitative data but also qualitative one when you are studying Alzheimer's experimental research. You can understand what I am meaning. I have given some of my experiments with Alzheimer's also, so in that books. So you can compare these things, whether I have done these things. No, this is the way that you have to do a thing. Variable means, what do you mean by a variable? What is an independent variable? What is a dependent or changing variable? A variable means that which changes, or that which can be changed or modified by some sort of an intervention. Independent variable is that which is set up by the researcher. Got the point? It is set up by the researcher. The client has no choice over the selection of it. The researcher is deliberately making one or the other variable suitable for his method. The independent one. And it is the one difference between the controlled and the comparable situation. So only that variable which the experimenter has chosen as an independent variable is the only difference between a controlled and the comparable situation. All the other things are the same. And it is set by the researcher's choice, and these distinguish an independent variable. So that term is clear to you, no? What is a dependent variable then? That which the research measures become the dependent variable. What your research measures, that becomes the dependent variable. That which is determined, that variable which is determined by the researcher is the independent variable, and that is comparable. But what your research measures is the dependent variable. The variation of it is controlled by the independent variable. So whatever variation you get in your dependent variable is actually controlled by the independent variable which you chose or the researcher chose. Dependent variable yield information for analysis and subsequent conclusion. So it is an outcome, it is the observation, what all things you observed with this particular independent variable which you have set as a measure, what all things you could observe and how you analyze that to get a subsequent conclusion or outcome. So that makes the quantitative research. Now we have to know what is qualitative research.